Alright, and here we are. I actually have Monday free, so I can actually do a little fiction live reading for you guys, since these chapters are really short and, the story moves pretty quick. So here we go. This is chapter 3 of The Unknown Prince. Walter then turned towards the boy and, being the empathic sort, took it upon himself to lower to a knee in order to be at more the boy's level, as he asked, "My name is Walter. It's nice to meet you, Hisky. Your mentor told me that you like to watch the carriages come to town. Have you seen any darkling children riding in any of them? It would have been a young girl, well, roughly around your age." The young lizardkin flicked out his blue tongue and seemed to give the question some serious thought before answering. "One carriage came yesterday that had a kid my age. Could have been a girl." He shrugged with uncertainty and then continued. "The driver didn't get out, but two others did. One older, one younger, both males." "Could you tell me their species?" the vampire noble asked gently. Jesus. Had an alarm go off on my phone over there. Could you tell their species? The vampire noble asked gently. Hisky shrugged once more with childlike passivity. "Human, elf, vampire, can't say for sure." Hisky shrugged once more. This news didn't seem to comfort Walter, as his tone adopted a bit more gravity. Were they wearing clothing that seemed notable at all? And when they entered town, where did they go? The small lizardkin paused to once more tilt his head and give the question some serious thought. "Cloaks. They had nice cloaks. Dark purple with a shimmery, silvery trim. I liked them. They headed north, towards the square in Gryffindor." A concerned heaviness wore upon Walter's brow as he breathed a sigh of subtle frustration. He then stood and offered the lad a kindly nod and thankful smile. "You have my gratitude, young Hisky. You've been most helpful." Fishing a pair of silver coins from his pocket, he offered them towards the boy and gave his scaly head a fond patting before turning back to Pliz. The youth began biting at the coins to check their validity as the vampire addressed his master. "I appreciate the assistance from you as well, Master Pliz." "Think nothing of it," the kindly shopkeeper chuckled. And I certainly wish you luck in finding your daughter." Though he was already on his way to the door, Walter whirled at the mention of a personal detail he'd never included. "I never said she was my daughter." But Pliz just shrugged and scratched at the back of his neck sheepishly. "You didn't have to." He chuckled again and gave another shrug. "Hisky may not be my actual flesh and blood, but I love the lad like he is. I think the worry on my brow would be just as heavy as yourn if I was in your shoes." The nobleman was forced to release his tension as he laughed softly at his own misjudgment. "You're a good person, Master Pliz." But the shopkeeper just shrugged and shook his head. "Begging your pardon, but you don't know me that well." He chuckled and then waved the vampire away as if shooing him. "Now go on, off with you. And if things end okay, why don't you stop by with your little one and pick her out something nice?" As Walter exited the shop to continue down the avenue towards the paved town square, he found himself assaulted with an odd sight in so settled place. Some sort of scuffle was taking place in the square, or rather, some sort of harassment, perhaps. It was difficult to say, but as the vampire got closer, shielded from the rain from his arcane parasol, his sharp senses allowed him to hear exactly what was transpiring. "We don't want your kind here," growled a feline beastkin as he pawed a cutlass at his side. He resembled a short-furred lynx with clay-red pelt and pale stripes. "Yeah, ain't that what your kind says to us when we're in Vezrin?" chimed an apekin from nearby, his fur black and his eyes dark. A murmur of assent passed through a six-strong crowd of varied beastfolk and kin. The two figures they were accosting were what appeared to be a pair of pale-skinned high elves with eyes of pure yellow. One looked older and glowered dangerously at the assembled mob, eyes flashing from one to the other. His younger assistant looked nervous and took a step backwards, right into the chest of one of three more bystanders who chose to join the rabble from a nearby tavern. Their leader was an Indio-skinned orc, littered in scars and weaponry. This tall and intimidating fellow was the one the younger elf had the misfortune of bumping into. He immediately growled at the younger Fey and grabbed his white and gold robe to whirl him about and snarl. "What's the matter, mate? Do your kind have a hard time seeing or something? Watch where you're going." He shoved the elf violently backwards and sloshed him into the dirty puddles of the paved square. A circle quickly closed around the pair, and violence seemed imminent. The older elf looked as though he were becoming slightly nervous. As Walter approached, he had sparse few moments to act. All right, and as usual, you got 5 choices at the end of this chapter. Your first option is to speak on the elf's behalf and de-escalate the situation. Your second is to speak on the townspeople's behalf and try and de-escalate the situation. Your third option is enter the conversation as a neutral observer and attempt to play devil's advocate. Your fourth option is to stand by and keep watching, observing the crowd. And your fifth option is ask the crowded townsfolk if the summoners would take kindly to this sort of harassment in what is supposed to be a free, neutral settlement. So, there you go. You got your 5 choices. This is a much more difficult choice to make than the last 2. So, we're always happy to see what people think. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As per usual, about 5 minutes a chapter is about how long these things run. So it's fun to write, and it's fun to, get feedback from people. So hopefully more people will start joining in